If you have been on the internet for, I don't know, the last 2 weeks, you know that A7 IVs are landing in the hands of creators, and your boy is no different. I got the A7 IV. We're shooting on it today. We are shooting in S Cinetone, and we're enjoying it. This is not a review. We're not going to review this camera today. I've had it for a week and a half. I have had one real shoot with it, and just been shooting around, with the kids or whatever. And so I just want to give you guys some first impressions and tell you guys what it is that I like initially about it. So let's get into it. Let's start with the elephant. Let's start with the big elephant in the room. 60 frames per second, 4K. It's got a crop. It's got a crop. You can't do it. And so a lot of people have been making a big fuss about it. And surprise, surprise, I am not one of those people. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I have always said that 4K is friend to no one. It's harder to edit. The workflow just can't be done, especially if you're someone who is making internet content such as myself, and you're trying to turn that internet content around as quickly as possible. 4K isn't the move. I say that recording in 4K right now, but listen. If you want a camera that shoots full frame, 60 frames per second, Sony makes that camera. Sony makes two of those cameras. And you gotta pony up a little bit of money for it. And so I know what people are gonna say. Sony just did this on purpose to keep themselves from cannibalizing their A7, S3. And yeah, you're probably right. They did that with this camera, with the A7 III. This camera was so good that it ended up cannibalizing the A7S2. And so you live and you learn. Sony decided that they didn't want to do that to themselves, and 60 frames per second with a crop. I'm not mad at them. They got to get their bag. So that's that. And I think what people are mostly mad about is they're saying like, oh, they gave it to us in this camera, but they didn't put it in the A7 IV, and it seems like a major step back. Nope, that's untrue. Because what people are failing to remember is that this camera is an upgrade to this camera, not an upgrade to the other cameras, to the A7S3 and the A7 I. And sure, there's some things in this camera that's not found in those cameras. That doesn't mean that Sony has to throw, everything into it. Listen, guys, we are making internet content. We're not going out and shooting big budget films and doing all of that stuff. You know what I mean? We're making short films here and there and putting some stuff on the interwebs, And I think that if you were someone who does need that stuff, who needs those frame rates that come with those flagship cameras, and you're someone who's going to make that money back immediately with the kind of jobs that it sounds like you guys have because you're complaining about it, then you gotta pay for what you need. I don't need those things. And so listen, 60 frames per second, 6K, maybe, but I'm happy with the 1080. It looks great. I've never had anybody tell me otherwise. And I think what will be a fun video to make would just be to make a video seeing if people can tell the difference between 1080p and 60 frames per second. I think I'm going to make that video. It's a fun video to make. All right, so that's enough crop talk. I just thought of that, crop talk. That's enough crop talk for now. And then the other elephant is And then the other elephant is that there is rolling shutter. And I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was Gerald Undone who said that if you're coming from this camera, then the rolling shutter on this camera is not going to bother you because it's essentially the same thing. It's essentially the same rolling shutter. And Pat Tommaso, who made an excellent video, if you want to see an excellent video of the A7IV, he said that if you shooting, the crop mode, then the rolling shutter is slim to none, minimal. Listen, I'm not out there. What are you guys filming? Motorcycle races? I don't know. The rolling shutter isn't a thing for me because I'm not whipping around like crazy. What are you guys filming that you need to worry about rolling shutter? Anyway, so let's get into the things that I love about this camera. The first thing that I love about it right away is that the autofocus on this camera is amazing. Look, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I film myself on like a big, huge Sony TV, monitor myself, and I can see the box like over my eye right now, and it's sticky. It's sticky. It's tracking me all over the place, and I am shooting with the Sigma 35mm 1.2 at 1.2, so you got to know that autofocus is working. And so that's my thing. That's the first thing I love about it. The furnace came on, so I had to stop for a while. Where was I? Oh yeah, the build quality of this camera. The thing about the A7 III, though it was a great camera, there was still a lot left to be desired. This grip is super small. As you can see, there's nowhere for me to put my pinky. These doors are really flimsy. There's a micro HDMI output here that would just break all the time. And then everyone knows the problems that everyone had with the microphone jack. This camera seems to improve on a lot of those. It's a much bigger camera. It has the same body as my A7R4, which I've talked about before, which has a pretty substantial grip. I even did go out and get one of these little pinky extensions for the camera. It has a full-size HDMI out, and the screen's better. The EVF is better. It's just a better camera. And then it's got some, better additions. It's got the little switch at the top of it to be able to switch between video and photo really quickly. Just a lot of better, what's the term? Just a lot of the better quality of life kind of things. I think Pat Tommaso said it best, is that he said that you just take this camera and you turn it on and it just works. It's like having a mirrorless camcorder where it just makes you want to go out and create stuff. You just want to film yourself. You want to make photos. It's just a really great camera to have. And then the last thing that I love is S-Cinetone. You guys are seeing it. I am not someone who can color grade well. And so I just want to be able to turn the camera on, have a great image come out and just, go about my day. I don't want to be stuck doing all of these extra things, color grading and stuff. I make internet content. I keep coming back to that, but it's internet content. You know what I mean? Like, I'm real with myself. I don't presume to be anything more than just a guy sitting in front of a camera most times, or making reels for Instagram, or making photos. That's what I do. I make internet content, and sometimes people pay me to film their weddings. And so I think that if you keep all of those things in mind, is that we shouldn't be comparing this camera to the flagship A1. We shouldn't be comparing this camera to the A7S3 or the FX3. That's not what this camera is. This camera is a baseline model, and it's just an improvement on the A7 III. And I think when people remember that, then you can be satisfied with this camera. One thing that I have been seeing a lot of online recently is, people A7IV overheats, and look, it probably overheats. I'm not gonna say that it doesn't, but when you watch those videos, what you're finding is that people are saying like, "Oh, it overheats, but only if," and it just turns out that like you have to make sure that you have the temperature setting to high, and you should record with the screen open and the battery door open if you can. Um, common sense things, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Anyway, I am going to end it here. Uh, look out for some new content. Obviously, new camera, new content. I'm going to be filming. I'm not going to like make it all content about this camera though. I don't want it to feel like that's what this is. Happy New Year to everybody. I turned 40 a couple days ago. Feeling good, except for being 40. Yeah, so expect some new content. Yeah, and thank you guys for being here. If you've been around for a while, it's super cold in Chicago. That furnace is about to turn on one more time. I can feel it. So I'm going to end this video here. If you guys made it this far, give me a deuces in the comment. Thank you guys for being here. This is a boy named Jamil. I'm Jamil, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.